Hello everyone, welcome back to Rhythm, Harmony, Melody. This is the YouTube channel where I talk about music. That's it. And so in this episode, I keep saying episode, that's because I have had podcasts before. But anyway, I'm going to talk in this video about my top 10 favorite bands, artists, but I want to say that my top 10 changes a lot, and it's actually been very hard for me to come up with this list. But the reason why I wanted to make this video is because this is a new channel, obviously, and if somebody wants to know if they want to keep watching videos by a channel, they're probably going to want to know what kind of stuff they like. And since this video or this channel is about music, what music do I like the most? I covered a little bit of that in my first two videos, but this one is going to be a pretty important video because I put a lot of work into this list, and this is going to be something that will help people get an idea of what kind of music I like. And so I have 10 bands here, artists, whatever, and I'm going to talk a little bit about each one, but I just want to, I love lists, and so I'm going to be making a lot of list videos. So this is just, this will probably change. I might make a new one of these like in a year or two, but for now, this is what it is. And I'm going to say, first of all, that these bands, you know what? I just realized that I don't have one of my favorite bands on this list. So I'm going to have to remember to mention them. I'll mention them first. And that means I'm going to have to take one off. So this is 10. I need to take one off. Alrighty. So here we go. So these are not in any order. They cannot be in any order because there's no way, if it was this hard for me to make this list, there's no way that I can actually put them in a descending or ascending order. They're just going to be randomly added to the list. So the first band, I'm going to say this is how it goes. This is the first band that I'm going to talk about. This is not number 10. This is not number 1. This is just one of the 10. And this band is Silverchair. So I mentioned in my last video that I rediscovered Silverchair recently, literally like last year, like 2021, 2022. And when I discovered them the first time was back when they were famous. They were like, they were they were helping to change the whole scene of music. Back in the grunge days. So Silverchair came from Australia, and they were 3 boys. They were boys. They were only 14, 15, something like that, maybe 16. And that's one of the reasons why I love them so much. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about these 10 bands, but I'm not going to go too in depth with each one, but I do kind of want to give you a general overview of what they are like. So, and what they're all about. So, Silverchair was from Australia. They were a grunge band. They started off being a grunge band. And here's where I love how bands evolve over the years, and if you don't keep up with it, someday in the future you're going to look back on them and say, "Oh, they're just that." And then you're going to be like, "Wait a minute. They're not just that. There's something different, something else happening." That's what it was like with Silverchair. I realized that they were one of the bands that evolved so much that you cannot even tell that their newest stuff is the same band as the older stuff. Well, of course, because they were so young. You can't be 13 years old and still sound the same when you're in your 20s. So, I can't give them that much credit for evolving when every band evolves, but they evolved from a teenage age. So, of course, they got different. But the reason why I love Silverchair is because their music is very emotional, and also it has them elements that I talked about, where the elements of different genres mixed in. And so they went from grunge to rock to pop, and they had a lot of classical things going on too. They had strings, and yeah, they're just way more than what people think. And so I love to help spread the word about how amazing Silverchair is. The next artist on this list is, this is actually the reason why I did not make this video or this channel based on rock music. So I said that rock music was my favorite style, my favorite genre, and it mostly is, but this artist I love so much, and she is not rock. She is pop, but she's not like the top 10, top 40 mainstream pop. Well, she might be, but I don't think of her that way. And that is Lana Del Rey. So I can't even put into words sometimes the way that I feel about her music. It's almost like there's drugs in it. I always say it's like, oh my gosh, her music just makes me feel like I'm not even on this planet anymore. And it's a combination of her voice and the music itself, like the actual songwriting, the songs, because the melodies are so beautiful. There's a lot of catchy you know, notes, chords. The music is beautiful. Her voice is ethereal. Is that the right word? Ethereal? It's otherworldly. Her voice sounds like melted butter. Like I can't even. These are not the best words, but I love her so much, and she's got so much good music. Her first 6 albums were complete and total masterpieces. Where like I hardly had to skip through anything. Of course, who likes every song on every album by every band that they like? Nobody. But she was one of the artists that really drew me in, and I'm like, oh, she's got so many good songs. And then the next album came out, and I'm like, there's even more good songs, and they're even better than the last ones. And then the next album came out, and it was more and more and more, and I was just overwhelmed. Like, how can anybody be this good? So, yeah. If it weren't for her, I probably would be like 90% rock, but she's that other 10%. Moving on to the next artist on my list is a band that I mentioned in my last video, and that is John Wayne and the Pain, who are not well known at all because they're a local band, local to where I live. I live in Minnesota, but I think they're from North Dakota. So they are a rock reggae band, and they have a little bit of EDM mixed in there too, like the deep bassy womp womps, but mixed in with keyboards doing the reggae thing, and then the guitar, and they're great. They're one of my favorite bands. So yeah, there's that. And I'm not going to talk too much about them because nobody knows them, but if you are into reggae rock, check them out. The next band on this list is a band that I talked about in my last video, which is one of my used to be guilty pleasures, but now I don't feel guilty anymore, and that is Hanson. Yeah, they're not really rock. They're probably more of a pop, but the thing is they do play their own instruments. They do play rock. They have rock elements. They have guitar solos. They're not just teenagers anymore. That's another band like Silverchair that started when they were so young. In fact, Hanson was even younger. The youngest one was probably 8 or 9 maybe. And like seriously, when bands are that talented, that young, you have to notice. You have to take some sort of notice at that. You can't just say, oh, they're just kids, or it means so much more, because now that they're adults, they're probably even better than some of the bands that started off when they were adults. So I'll do more videos on each of these bands in the future, so I'm not going to go too deep. The next band on my list is a band that I'm sure nobody's ever heard of. I mean, nobody watching this video anyway, and that is Wookie Foot. Wookie Foot, yes. They are kind of hard to describe because they're a mix of rock, reggae, pop, a little bit of EDM in there, folk, dance, world music, drums. They even have somebody that plays the Bagpipes. Bagpipes! But yeah, this is a band from Minnesota, the local band here, and they are one of the bands that puts on the festivals that I go to. One of the festivals. And their music is just it's 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 not for everybody because the message that Wookiefoot puts out is philosophical type music that is all about peace and love. You know, it's stuff that hippies like. All right, moving on to the next band on my list is Kings of Leon. Most people have heard of them because they were pretty popular back in the 2000s. I forget what year. Time is weird and I'm old. So Kings of Leon, I love them because, and here's another thing that I love about bands. I mentioned in my last video that I prefer groups over one, singer that has other people help them, because I like when bands write their own music, play their own music, and here's the other element that I love about bands. When they're so close. They are close as people. Like, Kings of Leon is a family. They are brothers and a cousin, and that is just so cool. And Hansons are brothers too, but yeah, I just love when bands are close because it helps to solidify their what's the word I'm trying to say? Genuineness? Their authenticity. I cannot pronounce words sometimes. So what you see is really what they are, there's no fakeness. They are, yeah. But anyway, I'm getting off track. I love Kings of Leon's music because it's kind of bluesy, and that's another element of music that I love when they mix together. I love when rock and blues mix together. And I don't love blues on its own. Like, everybody thinks of like B.B. King or, I don't even know who the other blues people are, but I love especially guitar, and I'm going to talk about this a lot in a lot of my videos because one of my favorite elements of music in general is the bluesy guitar sound mixed in with rock music, like, loud, powerful music, but also mixed in with, other elements, like violins sometimes. There should not be any rules. And Kings of Leon is a good band for that. They've got one song that is, yeah, I don't want to go too deep because I'm going to be making videos about the songs that I love by these bands, and this song that I'm particularly thinking of it's called Closer. And it's Kings of Leon's best song in my opinion, of course, but it's got this guitar in it that's just this what I love about guitar is how it's just my favorite kind of guitar is it's kind of atmospheric, and that's why I like Pink Floyd a lot, because David Gilmour's guitar sounds like this too a lot. It's just like spacey. It's got that feeling of expansiveness, and it's got that, like when the notes bend and it's just I'm completely messing up what I'm going for here, but you know what David Gilmour sounds like if you like Pink Floyd. And if you like Kings of Leon and you know that song Closer, you know what I mean about that guitar. It's just this spacey, ethereal, transcendental guitar. And blues is good for that because blues is... And it's really weird that I don't like the blues genre. I don't know what it is about it, but I love blues guitar in rock music. All right, the next band on my list is a band that I'm sure most of you will have heard of and love, and that is Queen. Queen is one of my favorite bands because they have almost all the elements of music that I like. So they've got guitar, they've got harmonies. I love when bands harmonize. They've got, and a lot of times that is just Freddie Mercury's voice overlapping itself, like in Bohemian Rhapsody, and that's fine, I love the stereo voices, when the voices are coming from both sides, from all around, and then the guitar too. And Queen had some great songs. Queen is another band that is really good for the closeness of the members. I hate when bands exchange members and replace members, and it's not the same band anymore. It sits wrong with me. So Queen was a band that never changed members, they never added more members, and they were a close-knit group of guys. And that's one of the reasons why I love Queen so much too. And I did see them live twice, but it was not with Freddie, obviously, because I was way too young when he died. But if I could have seen Freddie Mercury live, wow, that would have been one of the best ever. Especially back in the 70s when they were doing their they were a little bit more raw sounding, not so much into the top 40. They got really top 40 after a while, and especially in the 80s, but you can't really blame them because a lot of bands got really top 40 in the 80s where they kind of mellowed out and just kind of tried to appease the radio people too much. So Queen was really good back in the 70s when they were more raw, more themselves, I think. The next band on my list is Pink Floyd, and everybody knows Pink Floyd. Even if you don't like Pink Floyd, you probably know who they are. So why I love them, the biggest reason is probably because of David Gilmour. And I'm going to say this about a lot of bands. I really love rock guitar. And most of the bands on my list have that element. But Pink Floyd was one of the first because David Gilmour was one of the most iconic guitarists ever. I mean, Comfortably Numb, right? Do I need to say any more about that? That song is definitely going to be in my top 10 of greatest guitar solos. So yeah, I'm not going to talk too much more about Pink Floyd because everybody loves Pink Floyd, and if you don't, you probably haven't heard everything by them because they really have a wide variety of stuff. They've got something for everyone. They've been around for so many years, and yeah, they're just, I shouldn't say too much more. I shouldn't need to say too much more about Pink Floyd, especially if you're a musician or a diehard music fan that's been on this earth longer than 10, 15 years. You understand why people love Pink Floyd. All right, the next band on my list is Muse. And they are a band that I recently rediscovered, and sometimes I struggle to find the words to describe. They are probably, let's say that somebody was holding a gun to my head and said, you have to give one band that you're only allowed one band to listen to for the rest of your life, it would probably be Muse. And I mean, I feel bad for these other 9 bands saying that, but Muse is one of those bands that, to me anyway, this is my personal reason why I love them so much, because every single album is like 99% bangers. There's not hardly any filler on any of their albums, and they've got 9 albums out so far, and they're all so good. Like, how can a band be that consistent? And I mentioned Lana Del Rey earlier. She's one of my other favorites, but she's got 2 albums that I don't think, there's one of her albums I like nothing from, nothing at all, and then there's 2 of her other albums where I might like 3 or 4 songs, but not Muse. Muse is solid. Muse is dependable. You can count on them for doing a solid album. They are so consistent, but here's the thing, they are also so diverse. There's something for everyone with Muse, too. They've got a lot of ballads. They've got a lot of really hard... They've got metal songs. They've got a little bit of EDM mixed in, electronic stuff. They've got just straight up rock. Yeah. Muse is... And also, they were one of the best bands I've ever seen live. So, that definitely will keep them in my top 10, if nothing else. The next band on my list is Dead Larry. So I had a t-shirt on last video that was a Dead Larry t-shirt. They're one of my favorite bands that is a local band. They're actually from Iowa. Why I love them so much is because they are fun. Some bands just are just fun, and when you're seeing them live, you're like, nothing compares. When you listen to bands like this at home, just the albums, something's missing. It's like, yeah, the songs are good, but it's almost sad to listen to their albums because this band in particular doesn't do a lot of live shows anymore. Like in 2023 right now, they've only done one show so far, and I gotta say it was probably the best one they've ever done. But yeah, they are, and since they're not famous, people are going to be like, well, why are you even talking about bands that barely tour and that nobody knows? Because this is my taste. This is my channel, and these are my top 10 bands. So if you want to check out a brand new band they've never heard of and you like rock, check out Dead Larry. They are, you're probably not going to get a chance to ever see them live though. But they're kind of like a space rock band. They have this theme of space. And they're so fun. Me and my friend that are our favorite band at these festivals we go to, we always say it's the Dead Larry workout when you see them live, because you just can't help yourself but jump up and down. And yeah, I know there's a lot of bands like that every rock band will get you jumping and moving, but something special about Dead Larry, that's all I gotta say. And the last band on my list here is Måneskin, and they are a recent addition. I never even heard of them 2 months ago, and now they're on my top 10. What does that tell you? This is a band that, they're from Italy, and their name means moonlight in Danish, and one of the members is half Danish, which is where they got the name from, but this band is off the charts, incredible in every way. Live, I have not seen them live, but I've watched enough videos, and let me tell you, I just can't. There's no words. So I first heard this band, took one song, and I'm like, oh my god, I need more. I need more. And so I just listened to them for like 2 hours straight, and I was like, yep, this is it. I'm gonna stop listening to the previous band, and I'm only gonna listen to Måneskin. So what I love about this band is they are from Italy, so they write some songs in Italian and some in English. They write some songs that are beautiful, heartfelt, emotional ballads, and then they write some songs that are like pop punk. They write some songs that are like really hard rock. Just really, oh, I can't even listen to Måneskin if you've never listened to them. They are so young too. They started when they were in their teens. Another example, in fact, the best example of a close-knit band. These people are not related, but they are hands down the closest band I've ever seen as far as, their friendship and their chemistry on stage. Their live shows are amazing from what I see in videos, and I can't wait to see them live. I'm seeing them live in September, and let me tell you, I've never looked forward to the end of summer so much, because I can't wait for the show. But another thing I wanted to say about Måneskin is the guitarist is actually my new favorite guitarist, because I was saying earlier how my favorite style of guitar is like this rock mixed with blues, mixed with just that sound, that guitar, like the David Gilmour sound. The guy from Kings of Leon also has this sound, and the guitarist from Måneskin also has this sound. And he is so versatile, and he's so young, so like, for him to do this variety of music at such a young age, and there's this one video, I have to mention it. I didn't want to go too deep into any of these bands, but why this band is so amazing to me is like 90% because of this guitarist. So I have to talk about this. But he has this guitar solo that he does. It's like a 5-minute long guitar solo where it's like he uses a looper. If you don't know what a looper is, it's where they record a little bit of them playing, and then that loops over and over, and then they can play over that, and it sounds like there's two of them. In this case, there sounds like there's three, because he does the two loops over each other plus his own guitar on top of the loops. But anyway, the song is like, if I had to pick any one piece of music that's ever been played, and like if I had to go live on a deserted island and I could only have one, it would be that. And I used to say that about Comfortably Numb by Pink Floyd would have been my favorite song, but I think the more that I listen to this 5 minute long, there's not even a name to it. It's just the 5 minute long intro to this one of the songs that he does, and they only do it live. It's never been recorded, and of course it's on YouTube. But yeah, when I saw that video, I was like, this is exactly what I love about music. This guitar sound, this passion. This guy is only 20 something. He's like, I think when he started doing this, he was like maybe 21. It puts me in another dimension. So yeah, that's why Måneskin is on my top 10 list, because of this guitarist, but also their music is great. So that rounds out my top 10 musical artists at this moment. It's probably going to change. I actually did take some off this list to fit some on. So yeah, right now at this time, that is my top 10. So if you like any of those, then you're going to love this channel, because I am going to talk a lot about those bands. And that's it. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.